Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this week's webinar masterclass. My name's Sophie. I am the head of membership here at Enterprise Nation. And today we are delighted to be joined by James and Keith from Compass Video, who are going to be talking to us all about how to create digital content with your smartphone. This is a really great topic to be doing today, as we've just launched our new Go and Grow online campaigns in partnership with VeriSign, Curry's PC World Business and Microsoft. So if you have any questions throughout the webinar, please do type them into the question box provided, and we'll get through as many of those as we can for a Q&A at the end. So welcome to James and Keith.
Thank you very much, Sophie. Hello, everybody. Really excited to be here. We're actually broadcasting from Wookey Hole in Somerset, which is quite fun. We've just had a meeting here, and they've let us use their office. So I'm going to go quickly, and it's a big subject, and we're going to try and sort of just basically give you a flavour of what you might be able to achieve in terms of using your smartphone to create videos for your business. So we're going to cover best free apps to download, what kit you can buy on a budget, conducting an interview, and how to improve the audio and lighting. What we can't do because of time constraints is how to get videos that you record off your phone onto your computer, how to operate your own phone, like how to turn your phone on, things like that, because there's lots of different ones out there. We can't demonstrate any software. There's lots of some software we're going to list, but we'll provide a downloadable bit of document afterwards that you can find all the names on, so you don't have to record them during the actual webinar, and how to edit, which is a massive subject in its own right. So a little bit about Keith and I, who are presenting today. We started the company about just over a year ago. We've been members of Enterprise Nation since then as well. We specialize in business storytelling, so custom reference videos, really powerful way of selling your products and your brand. The reason we're here today is we were looking for a way of creating some content that would get us in front of an audience like yourselves. And we thought, what does everyone have? You've got a smartphone. They've got really good cameras on nowadays. So why not produce video content for your marketing, for your website, for social media, where it's a really powerful tool, especially with millennials. So enough about us. Let's crack in. Oh, just one more thing. What we did, the journey we've been on, is create, at the moment, 6 videos of how to use your smartphone to create your own videos. They're on our YouTube channel. It's Compass Video Limited. They're really useful. They'll be really good to follow up on this with how to use the audio, how to improve lighting and stuff like that. And they're quite fun. We've made them quite cheesy to be slightly entertaining. So to start with, we're just going to show you some software. I'll hand over to Keith.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. So open source software is software that you can download for free under an open source license. And these are available on both Macintosh and PC. So they're able to help you make a start with your video production on your computers from using the video footage from your smartphone. And these are called Audacity, which is a sound editing program, GIMP, which is something similar to Photoshop. Just be careful when you Google that. VLC, which most people do know about, which is basically a video player. So if you ever have a video that you've recorded or someone's given you, and for some reason, whatever you're trying to put in an edit suite of, if it won't go in there and it says error or something, if VLC player can't play it, you know that that video is now corrupted, and you can, you'll have to get another one basically. Handbrake, which is a media encoding program. So you can compress your videos to publish them where you need to publish them. HitFilm 4 Express is a free version of a program called HitFilm 4, which is a very, very good community video editing program, similar to Premiere. There's lots and lots of YouTube content teaching you how to use it, and they do an express version for basic video editing that they encourage you to pay for their professional one, but you don't have to. So that's a really good one to download to have a professional video editing program. And then finally Blender, which is a bit more advanced, and it's for animations and 3D. And if you wish to learn that, again, there's lots of YouTube content for that. And when it comes to apps, we've gone through our video YouTube training series, and we've played about with lots of different apps on lots of different phones, and we've just found, in our opinion, these are the best ones to use. So for Android, there's one called Open Camera by Mark Harmon, and some phones you need to create more advanced control of the microphone, and there's an app which allows you to do that called Soundabout. On the iPhone, there's a program called Verify Media Pro, and this is actually used by journalists in the field to verify their location and the footage to upload if it ever needs to be broadcast on news. The app itself is free, and how they make the app free is if you need that verification, you pay for a membership of Verify Media, but you don't have to do that to use the app. So it's a very powerful camera app for the iPhone, and always worth installing and using. And then for Windows phones, for the few of you that may have a Windows phone, is PowerCam, we found is very good. Okay, so now when it comes to equipment to use, not everyone will be able to use this because you might literally have zero budget, but if you have a small budget, the bits and pieces that as a minimum we would say to invest in is a phone clamp, and this enables you to clamp your phone onto a tripod. A microphone, and there are many different types of microphones for mobile phones now. Google your phone and an external mic, and you'll see what ones come up. The iPhone has many different ones specifically designed for the iPhone with apps that go with them. Android has lots of different ones as well. Lights, you can now get relatively inexpensive LED lights that are small and portable that do make a difference if you're in a dark situation. And finally, obviously, a little tripod, and you can spend very little money on a tripod or a lot of money on a tripod depending on what you want and how much your budget stretches. We have this kind of setup which we like to use. So we use two phones with a microphone plugged into one of them and an LED light. We've obviously spent a bit of money on something called a magic arm and an adapter to put two things mounted on the top of the tripod like that. But you know, this is the sort of thing you can do with a mobile phone setup using a bit of kit.
It's just worth pointing out the story behind our light. The light costs 25 quid on Amazon. The battery pack that powers it costs another 20 quid. But you know, so for 40 quid, you've got a really good light. And it's just worth searching up on Amazon and finding the sort of best one, and go by reviews, obviously.
Yeah. And then if you do have a bit of money to stretch it a bit further, there's some nice bits and pieces that you can also get, and these are gyro stabilizers, which basically use similar technology to what drones are using to stabilize cameras now in a handheld device. And as you can see, there's an iPhone one there. And these range in price considerably. So the best advice we can give you if you were interested in a mobile phone stabilizer is go by reviews, because there are plenty of reviews out there to say this one's not very good, this one is very good. Sliders are also very good because they can help you create artistic shots. So again, there's many of them out there. Go by reviews. There's plenty of YouTube videos explaining how to use sliders.
Yeah, so a slider, if you're selling a product, a slider is a really nice way of bringing your product to life. You just clip the camera to the top of the slider and just move it gently towards or away from the product. It just makes the video that much more engaging.
Okay, and then if you really want to go to town, you can create something like this. We don't necessarily recommend it, it's just for a bit of fun, but you can see that someone's gone a bit crazy with a mobile phone and plugged next to everything into it, and we always like this image, just saying look how far you can go if you want to. Okay, and now so we'll start with basic tips. The obvious one: turn your phone horizontally, don't hold it vertically. A lot of people forget that, and you can do a trick in an edit to add a shadow behind to give it the effect of a horizontal image, but just turn your phone sideways. Number two, something that some phones come with, some don't. You'll have a headset, and your headset will have a headphone and a microphone, and you can use the app the apps that we've suggested to download to tell the app where to record from. So you can say record from an external microphone. Now, if you use your headset's microphone to record from, if you're holding your phone, you can actually improve the quality of the audio by having the microphone closer to you, if that makes sense. But not all phones do come with that, and obviously the new iPhones use wireless headphones, and we've not tested those yet. So if anyone's had experience with that, they can share at the end. Now, common thing to people do is use the camera on the front of their phone. So if you do use the camera on the front of your phone to talk to your phone while you're making a video, do remember to look at the camera, not at yourself in the screen, because it does look a bit silly when you're looking at yourself in the video. And then the other thing is, if possible, try to use the camera on the back of your phone, not the front. And this is because the camera on the back of your phone is actually the better camera with the better sensor and the better quality footage. But some people still will like to use the one on the front, sorry. And then finally, stand still. Don't walk about. Try and stand as still as possible when doing your shots, because mobile phones without a stabilizer you can create quite shaky footage that the viewers don't particularly like. It feels quite harsh to watch. So try and stand still. If you do have to walk, some phones have inbuilt stabilizers now that you can actually run your video and press stabilize and it will stabilize it. But that has mixed effects, because you can sometimes create waviness and it doesn't look very good. But play about with it and see what works for you. Okay, and now James will now take you through some interview techniques.
So 2 different interview techniques. I mean, classically what we do on bigger budget films is go into our customers' customers and film them telling the story of how our customers' product has transformed the way they work, save them money, etc. And there's 2 different ways to talk to a camera. You can have a guy looking off the camera, as we've got here. Really nice for blogging. It gives you an idea of it's an interview. It can relax a lot of people, because chucking a camera in some people's faces is one of the most terrifying experiences they can have. So if you get them to look slightly off camera, and you can actually set the camera up on a tripod and then sit slightly to the side so they talk to your face. And it creates more of a conversational type look and feel to your videos. The other way is to look directly at a camera. And if you think of newscasters, they'll more often than not look directly at the camera. This is really useful if you've got something really important to say and you actually want to talk person to person. Where you position the person when you're filming them is quite important. You can put them in the middle if you've got nothing else happening on the screen. But if you move them to the side here, like Tedge's in our example, you can see it allows us to put graphics on the right-hand side. So just think about what you're going to do when you edit the video. Do you want to add in the title saying who it is and where they're from, or maybe a graph and some important information? So 2 different ways to conduct an interview, really. It's worth noting just people's attention spans these days, particularly millennials. They've got very short attention spans. I've got a screen in a minute showing the length of videos you can produce for each different social channel. But it's really important when you're creating a video is to grab the viewer by the eyeballs, one of my favorite expressions, but make sure that the important information is right at the beginning. If you're publishing something like Facebook, it auto plays when it's scrolling, so it might be worth having subtitles on there with important information in the first couple of seconds. When you're filming, keep your videos nice and short. No one really wants to sit through an hour of you talking about your product. If you can keep it down to 1 minute, 2 minutes, it's very good. Think about where your films are going to be viewed as well. If you're adding in stuff like graphics with lots of information, if someone's looking at it on a mobile, they're not going to be able to read that information. So just think, a lot of video is consumed on mobile and tablet. What sort of videos you can do with your smartphone? Obviously, there's a moment when you need to spend some money on a video, but what we're on about today is budget filmmaking. And you can do some really nice stuff, particularly if you're a small business. Most people have a really nice story to tell. And there's 4 sort of classic types of story you can tell as a business. The founder story, where you've come from, why you're doing what you're doing. And that can just be one person. You can set up a tripod yourself or balance the phone on your desk and just talk about, you know, what made you change your career path. An employee story, you may want to talk to your employees if you're a bigger business and you're having a problem communicating something and you don't have the budget to get a video company in. So get your smartphone out and get an employee to talk about why they're Employee of the Month or what's happened to them with a customer and if the customer had a problem and how they solved that problem. Customer story is really powerful. Again, you know, that interview style of getting them to talk off camera because some customers are quite nervous about it. But if you can get your customers to tell a little story about how you've changed their lives, that is so powerful because now with social media, people don't necessarily believe you. If you think you've got the best product, why should they believe you? Okay, if you've got written case studies and testimonials, again, how do they know they're real? If you've got someone on video, it's a very powerful subject. And just a little bit of light and a tripod and maybe the microphone is a really easy way of doing it. Cultural stories, again, you want people to believe in your product. Everybody believes in like stuff like the environment nowadays. If you've got an issue going on like that that you like to portray, it's really easy to chuck a 20-second video up on Facebook or Twitter or anything like that and just quickly get your message across. And it's so easy to publish stuff with your smartphone. You can record the video, upload it to an app, and it can be live within about 2 minutes. And that's really what we want you to encourage you to do. Just a quick little graph I made last night of lengths of video for different social media. So YouTube up to 12 hours, Facebook, I think it's 10 minutes, and it goes down from there to Snapchat, which can be between 3 and 10 seconds. So before you start your video, think, where am I going to put it? Is it going to be too long for some of these channels? How do people behave on those channels? Just a couple of reasons to use video as well. It's a really measurable medium, and most of the channels that you'll put it on come with their own analytics packages. Like YouTube at the top here has fantastic analytics. It can show you where your traffic's come from, how long they've watched the video for. So if you're creating lots of video content, you can see which stuff really works, which ones people click off in the first couple of seconds. So really important. When you post videos, if you're using a YouTube channel, you can also use a URL shortener, which Google provide a free one. There's, I can't remember the other ones, but they allow you to track how many people have clicked on that link, so you can see how well that video is performing. It's worth thinking about what channels use video as well. LinkedIn in August started using video. You can actually upload straight from your smartphone, which is really powerful. If you've got something important to say, like say Twitter just moved to 280 characters, and if I was a social media guru, I might just pull out my smartphone, prop it on my desk, and start talking about what that means for my clients. So don't just think, big preparation video, think of the instant stuff. Also things like Facebook Live, YouTube you can broadcast live, Periscope. Get your phone out, have a tripod, and it can just be like a 5-inch high gorilla tripod that you can attach to the branch of a tree. Just start using video and see what happens, because it's a really, really nice piece of content.
Yeah, and also going back to what James was saying about the different social media channels, is be aware of what happens with video on different social media channels. So in Facebook, if you upload a video to Facebook as a video in Facebook itself, not linked to YouTube, when people scroll through Facebook, that video will then autoplay in their social media channels. So if you've created a video for Facebook and you're doing a lot of talking, that auto-playing won't play any sound. So people tend to watch videos on Facebook without sound just to see what's going on. And if they're interested, they'll then click on it and maybe watch it more. So in that behavior, you need to think about how you're going to create your video. So sort of investigate the different social media preferences for different types of video and be mindful of what content you're creating. So you can create a big 3-minute video for YouTube, and then you can re-edit that and break it down for specific different social media channels to make more use from one video and spread it further.
Yeah, I think it's just worth pointing out, just as we wrap up, that we've tried doing this as helpful as possible, but we obviously run training courses. There are loads available elsewhere as well. But you know, if you want to know about editing and stuff like that, we can train you how to do your own interview with different clips and edit it all together and then publish it onto your website. If you want to know about the apps and stuff like that, there's a link here on the screen which we'll leave up as we go to the Q&A. But if you click that, you go through to our website and there's a download button where you can get a full list of tips and tricks and the software and the apps that we've suggested. So, Sophie, are you there?
I am.
Yeah, I think that's us on the 20 minutes.
Brilliant. So we've had a couple of questions in, but if anyone has any more, please do type them into the box and we'll get through some of those now. So the first question we have in here, do you have any tips for using phones to film in a noisy environment?
Yes, so this is where having an external microphone can help. But if you don't, so we'll assume you're just using your phone and you're using it handheld. A good example we did is when we were teaching the internal communications department of the NHS in Bournemouth. They were filming in their canteen, and in a canteen you've got people talking and lots of tinkering of cutlery and various other things. So when you're filming there, if you're trying to have more than one person in your video or just one person in your video and you're trying to frame them, if you're sitting down on a table and they're sitting on the other end of a table while you're filming them, you've got a distance between the mobile phone and the mobile phone's microphone. And in doing that, the microphone is automatic. There's very few manual settings for a microphone on the apps for mobile phones. So adding distance, the microphone is then automatically trying to adjust to its surroundings, and that's where, like you're saying, in a crowded environment, they're not very good. So the simple answer for a mobile phone in a crowded environment is don't be afraid to move the phone closer to the person and have what is called a close-up, so that in the shot, instead of having half a body and shoulders and head, just have their head, so the phone's quite close to them. What you'll need to do with this, though, is to practice quite a lot, because that can be quite intimidating to the person you're filming if they're not used to that, because you're invading their personal space. So it's have a bit of a practice, have a bit of fun with it, and then you'll notice that because they're talking, the microphone's picking up them clearer, so it's adjusting to them, and then auto lowering its levels a bit, so it does cancel out some of the background noise. That's one way of doing it. And then in the edit suite, when they pause and they're not talking, you can lower and raise the volume.
So the other way is to show the noise. So if you've got something noisy going on, don't film them against the wall, because then people will be watching it thinking, what the hell is that banging noise? So actually turn around, have whatever's making the noise in the background, and then at least the viewer can see, that's what's making the noise. Their brain doesn't go off thinking, what on earth is that noise?
And then the other way, in one of our YouTube episodes, we've actually specifically talk about audio, and the other way is invest in one of the mobile phone microphones, setting your phone to use an external microphone, and that way you're being more directional, is the word, with the microphone, and that enables a better quality audio. I mean, there is a top tip that can be done is use two phones, one phone to record the audio, one phone to record the video as well. That's something that can be done. So there's our microphone crowded noise answer, I think.
Great, thank you. We've got a question here about subtitles. Do you have any suggestions for apps or easy ways that you can add these in?
So there's a really easy way of doing this, is upload your video to YouTube. And then once you've done that, go to Video Manager, and then you'll have about 5 buttons along the top, and one is CC and Subtitles. You click on that, And what YouTube does automatically is transcribe your video, and you'll get, oh, I'm talking the wrong thing, aren't I? Subtitles. Yeah, you click that button, and it'll have transcribed your videos, so you'll have a document which you can download from YouTube, which has everything you've said in the video. You then click go to subtitles, and it makes up subtitles for you. So sorry, I'm going around it, I'm slightly confused. I've just done a blog on this, it's on our website, but it's very easy to do. Basically, YouTube makes the subtitles for you. If you press play on a video on YouTube, in the bottom right-hand corner is a little white box with a few dots in. Click that, and it will display subtitles. And that's auto-generated by YouTube. You can download that file as well. But it's worth just going on our blog and having a look at a bit. It's about 3 blogs ago about subtitles on YouTube.
Great, thank you. Do you have any suggestions for ways that video can add value for service-based businesses?
Service-based, well, I think the most powerful thing of video is the customer story stuff we've talked about. So where you might have quite a dull subject, like forgive me if any of the accountant, but if it's a numbers-based business, it might be quite a dull subject. But if you get a customer saying, you know, this company have saved me £10,000 a year, that's a really exciting story. And video is a really good medium for telling stories. It can also, video can bring to life really technical subjects. So service-based industries, where it's a complex solution, you can make it really simple by just talking it through on video or using animation. I hope that helps.
Great, thank you. We've had a couple of different questions about the iMovie program on Mac. Is that something that you would suggest using or not?
You can use iMovie. Again, it's another free app, and if you know it and you're good with it, then by all means use it. But the thing about iMovie is it's similar to Final Cut Pro. No, Final Cut 10 is what it's called now. And if you're dealing with production houses, they tend to use nowadays either the Adobe Creative Cloud or Avid. So the software that you want to get used to using, so it helps you explain if you ever get to the point of hiring a production company, should really be similar to what they use. So that's where HitFilm comes in. It's very similar to Premiere, so it's quite good for that reason. But that's only our personal opinion. I mean, if you like iMovie and you like using iMovie, then go for it. Use iMovie, but just stay away from how should we put this? Cheesy effects that people have, that iMovie has lots of, because it is very aimed at the consumer, not the professional. So star wipes, yeah, I wouldn't recommend using them, or their funny flashy things. Just keep it simple. Go for the basic dissolves, basic cuts. Don't and then the titling. Just use basic fonts. Don't go crazy with their 3D effects that come with iMovie. It's just, if you watch lots and lots of YouTube videos, you'll see that they don't tend to include those.
Yeah, I just from a not the expert point of view, this is James speaking. Keith's the expert. He's got a master's in filmmaking. But HitFilm 4, the one we recommend, I had a play with the other day, and actually I found it quite easy. And the video was much better quality than anything I've done on iMovie, which I have used in the past quite a bit, just for sort of home movies.
Brilliant, thank you. Question here, how much footage on average would you shoot to produce a 1-minute video?
That's like how long is a piece of string, but as a rough guide, 10:1 is quite good. So if you're filming a 1-minute interview and you're going to heavily edit that interview to cut out any ums, ahs, if they're going to make mistakes and you need to piece bits of audio together to create one solid interview, then recording 10 minutes of them solidly discussing the topic that you're interviewing them about, that would be added. You should be able to create a decent 1-minute video from that, depending on the questions you ask them. And then 1 minute, again, 10:1. So just to ensure that you get enough secondary footage or B-roll that you can use to cut your video to, that's relevant to what the interviewer is talking about, Again, 10 to 1 is always a good guide, 10 minutes. So if you 1 minute interview, record yourself 10 minutes of B-roll of as much of different things as you can record, and that just gives you plenty of options in the edit. But obviously, there's no best case scenario. You know, sometimes you might be at an event, and one of your customers happens to say to you something really, really nice about you and your business, and you're just like, pull my phone out, I'll just video you saying that, and then you're just gonna have to work with what you get there, because you know then they might not be willing to stand there for an hour while you get the best video you can from them. They might just say something quickly, but there's no harm in just using that either. The only tip there is remember to turn your phone horizontal, not vertical.
Sophie, I've just remembered 2 things, really important, simple things that I left out of the presentation. Is if you're filming, put your phone on airplane mode, because there's nothing worse than getting a situation all perfect and then someone rings you. And the second one is making sure you have enough storage on your phone before you start filming. Because again, if you're halfway through an interview and then you have to turn it off and delete stuff to get more storage, it could be a nightmare. So airplane mode and storage, very important, and battery life.
Yeah, don't start filming if your battery's on 10%, because that'll soon disappear. So having that's another piece of kit that could be good to get, is one of those external battery banks that you can plug into your phone, or just have on standby in case you're out of battery and you just plug it in.
That's great, thank you. A good couple of tips to end on there, I think.
Yeah.
So thanks everyone for joining us today. Next week we have a masterclass all about how to maximize Facebook marketing for really small businesses. So hopefully some of you will be able to join us for that one next week. And thank you so much to James and Keith for the presentation today and getting through lots of questions there at the end.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening, guys.
Yeah, thank you.